Hello fam, this time it's something of a new taste to all of our creepy buds. Hope you all will like it, and if you want more then don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Also if you all have your own stories then feel free to share it with the Horror Vault family whose email is mentioned in the description below. Now let's start with today's story. In the quiet embrace of my dimly lit workroom, the soft glow of the computer screen cast a pale and comforting light. The day had been long, a series of mundane office tasks that stretched into the late hours. The distant hum of the city outside provided a soothing background rhythm, a reminder of the bustling world beyond the sanctuary I had carved out for myself. With a sigh that seemed to carry the weight of the day, I stretched my arms above my head. The tension in my shoulders melted away, and a sense of accomplishment settled over me. It was time to bring this chapter to a close, to shut down the computer and retire to the haven of sleep. My wife had already found solace in dreams, her rhythmic breathing a gentle lullaby. As my fingers reached for the mouse, poised to close the browser and usher in the night, a peculiar urge took hold of me. It was a curiosity, a niggling thought that refused to be ignored. The browser history tab, a mundane artifact of digital life, beckoned to me like an unopened treasure chest. What secrets, I wondered, did it hold within its virtual vault? With a click, the history unfolded before me, a breadcrumb trail of my wife's online activities. It was a glimpse into her digital footprints, an invitation to peer into her world. My intentions were harmless, driven by an idle curiosity. I expected to find the usual assortment of websites, news articles, social media platforms, and perhaps the occasional dalliance into online shopping. Yet, what I discovered was far from mundane. It was a revelation that would set in motion a sequence of events I could scarcely have imagined. Amidst the sea of ordinary entries, one stood out like a jagged rock on a serene shoreline. 4:34 p.m. How to stop husband from cheating? The timestamp felt like a weighty thud against my chest, a sudden jolt that left me reeling. Questions raced through my mind, a whirlwind of doubt and suspicion. Had I unwittingly given my wife cause for such a search? The innocent act of deleting a browsing history had plunged me into a realm of uncertainty. My thoughts involuntarily turned to Amy, a name that now resonated with newfound gravity. Amy, the vivacious and charming coworker, had woven herself into the fabric of my daily interactions. Our connection had been discreet, our interactions subtle enough to escape notice. We had become adept at maintaining appearances, casting aside any glimmers of impropriety when my wife was present. Yet, the search I had stumbled upon hinted at a reality far more complex than I had dared to imagine. My pulse quickened as I scrolled further, each entry an unsettling breadcrumb that led deeper into a labyrinth of secrecy. 4:37 p.m. How much does divorce cost? The question hung in the air like a specter, a chilling reminder of the fragility of relationships. The implications were clear, a narrative unfolding before me, a narrative of doubt, uncertainty, and the very foundation of our marriage trembling beneath the weight of suspicion. The cursor hovered, then clicked, and the next entry materialized. 4:39 p.m. Why do humans feel emotions? The words seemed to reach out to me, a reflection of my own inner turmoil. It was a question that resonated deeply, a contemplation of the enigmatic forces that guided human behavior. As I pondered the search, a sudden drop of warmth landed on the keyboard, an unexpected interruption to my thoughts. Blood. Bright and glistening, it stained the keys beneath my fingers, a shocking contrast against the sterile world of ones and zeros. Panic surged through me, my mind racing to comprehend the surreal sight. Instinctively, I reached for my face, my fingers brushing against my skin as I sought the source of the blood. A metallic scent hung in the air, its acrid presence a grim reminder of the physical reality that had infiltrated my digital exploration. Confusion mingled with fear as I stumbled to my feet, a sense of urgency propelling me toward the bathroom. Each step felt disjointed, as though reality itself had become a fractured mosaic. The bathroom mirror greeted me with a reflection that was both familiar and distorted. Blood smeared across my skin, a crimson testament to the inexplicable phenomenon that had unfolded. I moved through the motions of staunching the bleeding, each tissue pressed against my nostril a reminder of the fragility of my own body. As I emerged from the bathroom, the computer screen beckoned once more, its digital glow a stark contrast to the physical ordeal I had just experienced. 4:44 p.m. Which part of the brain is responsible for love? The question hung in the air, a haunting echo of my own musings. With a mix of trepidation and curiosity, I clicked on the search, the contents of the ensuing articles painting a complex portrait of human emotion and cognition. My eyes darted to the next entry. 4:49 p.m. What is excerebration? The term was unfamiliar, its syllables both alien and unsettling. Yet, a strange compulsion guided my hand, and I clicked, inviting a chilling revelation to unfurl before me. An ancient procedure involving chiseling through the bone of the nose, in order to scoop out the brain matter. Horror clawed at my insides, a visceral response to the grotesque imagery and the implications it carried. A lump formed in my throat, a sickening realization settling over me. The blood, the searches, they were pieces of a puzzle that formed a nightmarish tableau. I leaned back in my chair, the reality of the situation crashing over me in waves. The minutes ticked by in silence, each passing second a reminder of the precipice upon which I stood. The world outside seemed distant and inconsequential, a mere backdrop to the horrors that had been unearthed within the confines of my home. And then, the front door creaked open, a sound that shattered the fragile bubble of solitude. "Honey? I'm home!" Her voice was a balm, a fleeting moment of normalcy in a world that had been upended. I stared at the wall, my mind racing, searching for the right words, the right explanations. What could I say? How could I bridge the gap between the reality I had uncovered and the facade that had once defined our relationship? "Hello?" Her footsteps drew closer, the soft rhythm of her heels a counterpoint to the cacophony in my mind. Hey!" My voice cracked, the attempt at casualness a feeble facade. I reached for a box of tissues, my hands trembling as I tossed them into the drawer. "How was?" The words trailed off, my thoughts a tumultuous storm. Her presence filled the room, and I struggled to maintain composure, to find a way to broach the subject that had unraveled my world. "Oh, good." She smiled as she entered the room, her eyes momentarily lingering on the computer screen. "How are you? You had quite a lot to drink last night." The past and present collided in a surreal juxtaposition, her words a stark reminder of the events that had transpired, of the blood that had flowed, of the secrets that had been laid bare. My voice faltered, the weight of the truth nearly suffocating me. "I did." Her gaze intensified, as though she were trying to discern the veracity of my words. The air between us crackled with tension, unspoken words hanging in the balance. What's all this?" I gestured toward the computer screen, my index finger a shaky accusatory point in the air. She joined me at the desk, her gaze narrowing as she examined the contents of the browser history. The wood surface felt clammy beneath my fingertips, the room itself a vessel of uncertainty and unease. "What?" Her voice was a mixture of confusion and curiosity, her eyes flitting across the screen as she sought to make sense of my distress. I swallowed hard, my throat dry as I struggled to articulate the maelstrom of thoughts that swirled within me. What were you searching for? Oh, she flushed, her cheeks tinged with pink, her eyes avoiding my gaze. Well, you did say we could try it, so I had to do a little research, you know? A wave of realization crashed over me, a revelation that left me stunned. The pieces clicked into place, the puzzle of cryptic searches and disturbing inquiries forming a chilling mosaic of intent. What? I said we could try, what? She waved her hand dismissively, her laughter strained, an attempt to mask the unease that hung in the air. The X something. You probably know better. The word hung between us, a sinister specter that cast a long shadow over our conversation. Excerebration. The term reverberated in my mind, its implications sinking in with a sickening certainty. A chill ran down my spine, a visceral response to the realization that the horror I had stumbled upon was not mere happenstance. Karen, what did you do? My voice was a desperate plea, a demand for an explanation that I dreaded and yet yearned to hear. But before she could respond, a single droplet of blood fell onto the carpet, a macabre punctuation mark to our surreal exchange. Panic surged through me, a flood of adrenaline propelling me forward. In an instant, I was at her side, my grip firm as I pressed her against the wall, my eyes wild with a mixture of fear and desperation. Tell me what the fuck you did! My words were a frantic plea, a demand for answers that seemed to slip through my grasp like water. Tears welled in her eyes, her struggles against my grasp a mixture of fear and frustration. How can you not remember? Her voice cracked, her attempts to break free growing more desperate. Don't you remember what you did? I stared into her eyes, the anguish in her gaze reflecting my own turmoil. The room seemed to close in around us, the weight of our actions and the chilling reality of our situation pressing down upon us. No, what did I do? My voice was a hollow whisper, a confession of my own ignorance, a revelation of the void that had consumed my memory. You came home after work and told me you were leaving me for Amy. She sobbed, her words a painful admission that tore at my very core. You said you didn't want to love her, but you did. I stood there, the world around me spinning, my mind struggling to grasp the truth that had been laid bare before me. Amy. The name echoed in my mind, a haunting reminder of a reality I couldn't recall. I don't, I whispered, releasing my grip on my wife as I crumpled to the floor, my strength giving way beneath the weight of it all. I don't remember. Karen's gaze bore into me, her own confusion and despair mirrored in her eyes. The truth hung in the air, a chilling revelation that transcended the confines of our reality. What's happening to me? My voice trembled, a plea for understanding, a desperate grasp at the fragments of a life that had been shattered. Her silence was deafening, the weight of her unspoken words heavy in the air. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper, a haunting echo of the horrors we had unwittingly unleashed. Honey, what if I accidentally hit your hippocampus instead? The word hung between us, pregnant with meaning and implication. Hippocampus. The memory center of the brain. The words echoed in my mind, a chilling revelation that left me numb with a mixture of dread and disbelief. For fuck's sake, Karen. I muttered, my voice a blend of frustration and desperation. I'm not a fucking encyclopedia. Enlighten me. What the hell is a hippocampus? She looked at me, her gaze a mixture of pity and sorrow, her own realization of the magnitude of her actions sinking in. Honey, she sobbed, her voice a quiver of agony. You're a doctor. It's the memory part of your brain. The room seemed to spin around me, the truth of her words a crushing weight upon my shoulders. A doctor. The irony was not lost on me, the cruel twist of fate that had led me to this moment of chilling revelation. And as I sat there, the world around me a blur of confusion and fear, I realized that the horror I had stumbled upon was not confined to the depths of a browser history. It was a horror that had been woven into the very fabric of our lives, a tapestry of secrets and manipulation, a chilling testament to the fragility of trust and the devastating consequences of a curiosity that had led us down a path from which there was no return. In that moment, as the truth settled over me like a shroud, I knew that our lives would never be the same again. The darkness had been unleashed, and its tendrils had ensnared us in a web of despair and uncertainty. The journey from curiosity to unimaginable horror had reached its harrowing conclusion, leaving me to grapple with the haunting question that would echo in my mind for eternity: what if the price of uncovering the truth was the very essence of who we are? As I reflect on the story I've just narrated, I can't help but be deeply affected by its unsettling and chilling nature. It's a tale that grips you from the very beginning, drawing you into a world of ordinary moments turned into a nightmare of unimaginable proportions. What strikes me most about this story is the slow and deliberate build-up of tension. The protagonist's seemingly innocuous intention to clear a browser history becomes a catalyst for a series of shocking discoveries. With each cryptic search, the sense of unease intensifies, mirroring the protagonist's growing realization that something is profoundly amiss. The theme of trust, or rather the erosion of it, is a central thread that weaves through the narrative. The revelation of an affair, kept hidden behind a facade of normalcy, is a gut-wrenching moment that challenges not only the protagonist's trust in his partner but also the reader's perception of the characters involved. As the story unfolds, the searches delve into disturbing territories, leading to an ancient and horrifying procedure that feels like a descent into madness. The way the protagonist's panic and desperation are depicted serves to immerse the reader even further into the heart of the horror, making the experience visceral and unforgettable. What truly sets this story apart is its masterful blend of psychological suspense and body horror. The mounting dread, the palpable fear, and the gruesome imagery of blood and bodily matter create an atmosphere of sheer terror. It's a roller coaster of emotions, from shock and disbelief to empathy and morbid fascination, leaving an indelible mark on the reader's psyche. The story's conclusion, with its revelation of the true extent of the wife's actions, is a gut punch that leaves you reeling. The idea that memories and identity can be manipulated and altered is a profoundly disturbing concept that lingers long after the story has ended. It's a stark reminder of the fragility of the human mind and the unknowable depths of our own consciousness. As I step back and contemplate the impact of this narrative, I'm reminded of the power of horror storytelling to tap into our deepest fears and anxieties. This story doesn't rely on fantastical elements or supernatural entities. Instead, it preys on our very human vulnerabilities and the unsettling notion that the horrors we fear most might reside within ourselves. In the end, My Wife's Disturbing Searches is more than just a tale of horror. It's a psychological journey into the darkest corners of the human experience. It's a story that makes you question the boundaries of trust, the fragility of memory, and the terrifying potential of the unknown. And as I conclude this reflection, I'm left with a lingering sense of unease, a testament to the story's ability to burrow deep into the mind and leave a lasting impression.